And the response was
sex.
But the conversation went interesting because I got quiet after that because I wanted to really hear how they were going to, talk about, how sex is a healthy way to cope. What's going on, guys? Welcome back into the Berry Blessed podcast. My name is Derek.
My name is Kayla, and we are the Berries.
Today, we are going to be talking about toxic positivity, and this is a topic that we had selected to teach to a group for those that are recovering alcoholics. Some are recovering drug addicts so with substance abuse. So today, Kayla and I were able to go into the office and we talked about toxic positivity, and we really wanted to present it to our viewers as well, just because it turned out to be a really, really good discussion.
Yeah, it was a lot of good feedback. It was a lot of interaction, and also there was a lot of people that never heard the term. And I'm like, really? Like, it just kind of like threw me off a little bit. And my mind was like, okay, how do you not hear about toxic positivity?
Especially in the workplace.
Exactly. Like, that's very common in the workplace.
Well, let's go ahead and dig right into it. The definition that we have for toxic positivity, I think you have it over there, is...
Yep, the excessive and often unrealistic pressure to be optimistic, which invalidates and suppresses negative emotions.
Yeah, so kind of more so in layman's terms, kind of authenticity, where people are kind of portraying one thing and
feeling another thing.
Yeah, and maybe even not even just feeling, but they're portraying one thing, and then behind closed doors, it's something completely and totally different. Yeah. The example that I used in class for kind of a positive on that was, Tim Tebow. Tim's a guy that's very outspoken in his faith. Tim's a guy that is, when it comes to doing things, whether it's publicly or privately, he preferred to, follow his Christian faith, so not a drinker, in school, not a big partier in school, didn't date in school. And even when he got to the pros, kind of the same thing, didn't go out to the clubs or do any of those things. But when he was ready then to get into a relationship and get married, he did. So people saw that as him being unauthentic, because the expectation is that you're gonna party.
Right. Especially at the age he was at.
Yeah.
20s is usually... Most people say, oh, you're partying in your 20s. Like, you let it all out in your 20s. And that wasn't the case for him.
Yeah, versus, being a devout Christian who didn't do a lot of, cussing and things of that nature. Now, again, not painting that he's a perfect person by any stretch of the imagination, but, he did his best to follow through in his faith journey. Right. And the opposite of that, I said, was someone like P. Diddy. And again, one thing that I never wanted to get into on this channel was make it political or make it a TED Talk or anything of that nature. But just for the sure example of, what we're talking about here, that's just an extreme kind of viewpoint on toxic positivity. Mm-hmm. The thought was that he was doing all these things that were good, donating to charities, having these parties, bringing people together, but then when evidence and whatnot came out that he was doing other things, people tend to distance themselves.
Yeah, it was almost like taboo, didn't want to bring it up.
So one on kind of the positive end, one on kind of the negative end.
Yeah.
So we had 3 traits that we wanted to talk about as well, and those are
passive aggressive, naive, and impractical.
Yeah. So when we start on the passive aggressive sense of things, there's a definition in the context of positive toxicity. And that
Yeah.
is,
So indirect hostility, oftentimes the person will feel as they are sparing someone's feelings, but being nice or sugarcoating, downplaying the truth.
yeah,
May not know how to show or express their emotions, so they revert to passing buck or blame on others.
yeah, yeah. That's that's just a passive aggressive person, somebody that's not really taking accountability for
Yeah.
themselves.
Yeah. Almost playing the victim in a way is kind of like a trait to being a passive aggressive
Yeah.
person, because you just don't want to take that blame, even though you know you did wrong, or you might have not done the task right, or relationship wise, you did something wrong. And you're placing the blame on somebody else or something like, oh, well, this happened at work, blaming it on work. I wasn't able to X, Y, and Z. And it's like, you're passing the blame, you're being passive aggressive, you don't want to basically um tell your feelings, and you're just being nice, so you can just bypass it.
Yeah. You tend to be somebody that essentially just wants to, even if you want to get something done or you want something done,
Right.
you don't want to come off as being bossy. So instead, the route that you'll take is that passive aggressive way. You won't be direct about it. You'll kind of go around.
Go around the bush.
Yeah, and
Beat
then
around the
again,
bush.
not take accountability then
Yeah.
for it. How about for naive?
Naive, lacking wisdom in one or more areas, causing a person to rely on what they believe is right. Easily fooled or gullible, tend to be more positive due to not knowing dangers or negative intentions of others, and tend to be people pleasers.
Yeah. So the book of Judges, one of the first lines in the book of Judges is that at this time in Israel, people were doing what they thought was right. And that's always dangerous. When you have someone whose moral compass is not that is good, then what they believe is right is going to be very different from what
Somebody
God
else
says is right,
Oh, yeah.
and what other people, period, says is right. So I think that's really dangerous when we have people that are just, oh, I think this is right, so I'm just going to do it. Or this feels good, so I'm just going to do it. It's just, it's not good.
Yeah. Well, and also doing something that it's not right, and being naive about it. It's like, it's almost like common sense. Like, this is not right, but you're still doing it because you're being naive and want to be naive and expecting a different outcome, either in that task or that situation or from that person.
Yeah, there's some people that negligence is the big thing too with someone that's naive. So some people will know what they're doing and they'll understand that they're naive to a situation, but again, because they want to feel a certain way,
Right.
or they want to be perceived a certain way, they will be naive to what others may actually think of them. So they'll just continue to do what they do, even though they know that it's wrong. But the naive part of it then tends to be how others actually perceive them, not how they think
Right.
people perceive them.
Exactly. Then impractical, not sensible or realistic about situations or feelings rather than others or oneself, won't accept reality as their own. Instead, will believe things regardless of tangible proof or evidence. Has a hard time repairing relationships and or situations.
Yeah, I think that last part is huge. Has a hard time repairing relationships or situations because they're too worried about living in their own mind so they can rationalize anything that's in their own mind. That's the danger of not sharing, and that's the danger of not communicating to other people, is if you're living in your own mind and you have your own thoughts and you're not sharing those thoughts and you're not getting advice from other people, it's easy to rationalize almost anything.
Right. And you're just not especially with a relationship, when you have a hard time repairing relationships or situations, you're just living in your own head. And, there is compromise in relationships, but if you can't compromise and you're living in your own head, it's because like you only see this way or this way only, and you can't compromise. You can't look at somebody else's views or points on something, on a situation, and you're just like, nope, this is just the way, my way, or no other way.
Yeah. And that's selfish,
Yeah.
So a relationship is by definition, it's not selfish.
Exactly.
You have to, there's give and take to it. And just like that word that you said, compromise.
Compromise, yeah. Putting it all together, optimism and pessimism.
Yeah. Two opposites there. So if you're optimistic, you believe everything is going to work out for good. But if you're a pessimist, you believe nothing's going to work out at all.
Yeah.
So kind of balancing that,
right,
I think is what we have to do. What do you think specifically how to balance?
I mean, it's just looking at, being open to other people's opinions. I feel like that too. And not just thinking like, okay, this person's saying this and like taking it far left, but also kind of going through somebody's, if it's a situation or relationship and somebody's giving you feedback and on a situation, like taking that and kind of like going through their reaction or their output. Like for that one movie, their outbox, somebody's giving you something, giving you feedback, whether it's a situation or relationship, and taking that as well.
Yeah. I feel like there should be a sense of realism, so in class, it was actually really cool because there was someone that spoke up and, I was talking about, being optimistic, and she's like, I feel like being pessimistic is being real. But that kind of just gave us a preview into like her mindset and what she thought of the world. And that was that everything was negative. So
yeah,
pessimists aren't real. They're negative.
Yeah.
Optimists aren't real. They're overly positive. So there has to be a healthy balance. And I think realism is what gives us that balance.
Yeah. You got to be realistic too in situations. Like a situation might be bad, but taking that situation and kind of pulling apart and like, okay, this is real. Or not just being so negative or so positive, like, oh, well, even though this happened, and like being that toxic positivity, like you still have to take a situation or a relationship, whatever a task might be or whatever, and taking that and being realistic about it. You might go one way or the other on optimism or pessimism. It might kind of teeter one way or the other, but also taking that situation and being real about it, realistic. Like, okay, yeah, this situation might have been happening. Let's talk about it and be realistic about it.
Yeah. There's some truth to both sides. If something is good, then there's sometimes bad found in it. And relationships are a great example of this. You can be in a good relationship and there's bad elements to it. So not pretending that everything is all good and being realistic and saying, hey, look, there is issues in the relationship, but we talk through them. And on the opposite end, there can be something that's extremely negative, or a person specifically that's really negative, a really negative person. But perhaps I can find some positivity in this person.
Yeah.
There's some things that they do that are good. So trying to find the good in bad things and not shying away from bad things that are in good things. There's balance to it.
100%. Important lessons that we got out of toxic positivity and kind of just breaking it down. First one, do not suppress emotions or feelings towards others. Second one, seeking help or advice from others to refrain from suppressing. And then third, finding healthy ways to cope or communicate your issues, even if these methods are unorthodox.
Yeah, let's park there for a second. So This is what created a lot of good conversation
Yeah.
in the class because I asked the question, what is a way of healthy coping that might be unorthodox? And the response was,
Sex.
yeah. And so it was kind of funny because, and I don't know if we're going to have audio available. Maybe we'll play some audio for you from it. But the conversation went interesting because I got quiet after that because I wanted to really hear how they were going to, talk about, how sex is a healthy way to cope. And it kind of went far left
Yeah, it
pretty
went down a
quick.
rabbit hole. Yeah, it was just kind of, yeah, it wasn't on the same train as toxic positivity. It kind of revert off, and how, men and women portray, you know, sex, and it kind of just went far left.
Yeah, like so
So
it was like a lot about like promiscuous
yeah,
and that type of thing.
I mean, it was still a good conversation because,
Yeah.
they got, different points out about it, but it went far left. It
Yeah.
wasn't
So in the
anything
end, I think
about
I,
that.
I kind of wrangled them back in,
Yeah.
and I was kind of like, okay, but remember, we're talking about what's a
Hmm.
healthy way that's unorthodox to cope. And what we did all come to an agreement on, I think all of us were in agreement on this, is that sex is not a healthy way to
No.
cope unless it is between
Uh,
one person and another person exclusively.
Exclusively. And yeah,
When we talk about, people being promiscuous and being with a lot of other people, well,
that's
it's
not healthy.
it's unhealthy physically, emotionally, and mentally
Hmm.
because you can get a disease.
Yeah.
You have multiple people that you're trying to juggle between, so that's exhausting.
Yeah.
And also on the mental side of things, there's a lot of people that want to be exclusive.
Yeah.
It's going to be
Emotions get
very rare
involved.
that you're going to find someone that's going to be okay with you just sleeping around with a bunch of other
Yeah.
people.
No.
That's not healthy.
No. They might say they're okay with it, but 9 times out of 10, they're not.
So that was just a fun part of the conversation, just because, that was literally when I asked that question, the first thing that was said.
Yeah.
And
It
then we
was
went
pretty
so
quick.
far left on the
It was pretty quick
conversation
too.
until we
Yeah.
were able to reel back in.
Yeah.
So, but I think one that we also agreed that was a unorthodox but healthy way was the idea of using journaling,
Hmm.
but doing it in a unfiltered way. So a lot of people, when they journal, they'll hold back.
Yeah. Well, and also when you said journaling,
Yeah.
people took it the wrong way. I
Yeah.
thought it was like you were about to say it's bad. And it's like, no, it's not bad. And one of them were like, I'm going to take my journal and just rip it up when I get home. I'm like, no, it's not bad.
No.
It's not bad at all. There's different types of journaling, though. There's journaling where a lot of people, like back in the day, used to journal about their lives, and then, like, kids, grandkids could look back and see these entries. So, like, if you had a loved one, you're married to your loved one, and they're overseas, a lot of people either used to write letters or journal about what they did that day. And then they would send it off to their loved one. Sometimes it turns out to be a book, and then there's journaling just to get your feelings out on paper.
Yeah.
And not to suppress those feelings.
Yeah. And what I was specifically, had to kind of break down was that what I'm talking about is like kind of like that raw emotion, unfiltered journaling. You don't have to worry about constructed sentences and spelling and how to use your synonyms and, all those things.
Right.
Don't worry about your conjunctions.
Right.
Just write down what you feel and write down as if no one is going to read it.
Right.
Because I think a lot of times people will hold back
Mm-hmm.
in journaling because they're in fear that someone's going to find it and somebody's going to
Or
read
they
it.
just make them feel like less of a person or worse person because you said this about maybe somebody
Yeah.
or a situation that happened, and you're kind of reliving the situation, and you're like, okay, this might not have been my best self at that time, but it's like, okay, you're getting it out on paper, you're writing it out. You're kind of analyzing and be like, okay, this happened. It's gone. It's over with.
It's your authentic self. So you should put down on paper what your authentic self is and not have the backlash or the fear of what's going to happen if you
Right.
write it down. So that's that unfiltered journaling. But what I was also saying, and I think this is where they took it wrong, is if you're only journaling, that's not good.
Right.
That can't be your only form of therapy, because once again, you're talking then about someone that's journaling, and then you're only living in, once again, your own head, because you're journaling to yourself.
Right.
You're not journaling to anyone else.
Right.
You need feedback. You need people
to talk
to and to give you that. Now, I'm not saying to just take your journal to them and open up the journal.
Yeah.
There's some things that can just remain in your journal.
Right.
But you should talk about things, and it should come out, not just in journal form.
Even if you can't talk to somebody, you don't have that support system, some people go to those, I forget what they're called, like smash rooms. Like if you're a very angry person, maybe just going there and smashing things to get that anger out instead of suppressing that anger might be an unorthodox way of somebody like, okay, I'm angry about this situation. I've been holding it in. I've been taken out on my kids or my loved ones. I'm just going to go over here and smash everything in sight to get that anger out.
Yeah.
And take that emotion out, but it's not going physically to somebody.
Yeah, boxing, mixed martial arts is another way you can do that as well. People, if you go into that thinking that you're just going to be able to go in and just smash somebody like on like that smashing room and just be able to like just hit them in the face and whatnot, that's not what boxing and mixed martial arts is. It teaches you discipline.
Right.
So sometimes that's the best thing you can do. It's unorthodox for somebody that's really, really angry to get into something like that, but it could be really therapeutic.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. We linked toxic positivity towards a scripture, which is 2 Corinthians 4:8-9. We are hard pressed on every side, but not crushed, perplexed, but not in despair, prosecuted, but not abandoned, struck down, but not destroyed.
It's powerful. It's such a good verse because it just talks about how the struggles of life are always coming. They're always around us. But we're breathing.
Right.
I just took a breath. I just took another one. We're breathing. So we're still standing. Even if you're going through it right now, let me turn to the camera. Even if you're literally going through it right now,
right?
Something that is just so emotionally draining, something that's so physically draining. If there's air in your lungs, you're still breathing. You're still here. So we can make it through these things, even when our mind and our body tells us that we can't. Until there's no more breath in our lungs, yes, we can.
Yeah. And also one of the people in the class today even also says like you can learn from those times of struggles like that makes us grow. And he took that scripture and literally said, yeah, that's, you endure the struggles, but that's how you learn. Not either you learn from that struggle and you move on and not to go back to it.
Yeah. No, it's so good. It's such a great verse.
Right.
We've got a couple of statistics for you before we leave you, and these are pretty eye-opening. You want to go ahead and read that first one? That first one is just really good.
75% of people admit to ignoring their own emotions to appear happy.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, 75% of people. And one of the girls that was in class had even said, because you can't make yourself feel happy. It's to appear happy, and that really resonated. That she highlighted that appear happy, because you can't just feel happy. It's something that naturally has to come.
Put a smile on your face.
So the smile that you're putting on your face, it's forced. That's toxic positivity 101 right there.
Right, exactly. 48% of work-related stress causes sleep deprivation due to toxic positivity.
Yeah. I said it in class, either you love your job or you hate your job. It's very rare that you have somebody in between on that. So a lot of times people are losing sleep over work. And again, if rather they love their job or they hate it, You lose sleep over your job because you love it, so you bring it home with you, or you lose sleep over your job because you hate it. No, that's all you talk about, and you lose sleep over it because you're constantly in a state of flux because you're worried about, gosh, now I got to go back there tomorrow.
Right.
So either way, you're losing sleep over work, something that you're
Exactly.
doing more than even being at home.
Right. And then people have become more aware of the issue, which is toxic positivity, since 2020, and it has factually doubled.
Yeah.
So going back to when we first brought up the basic topic, it's just kind of crazy to hear that some people never heard that term, and then the fact that it has already doubled since 2020. Mind you, 2020 was 5 years ago, and it's already doubled to where you see it more often now. It's just it's crazy.
Yeah, people are teaching it in like workplace seminars,
Right.
and whatnot. It's definitely, there's been an uptick in awareness. So it's really just about being authentic, being your authentic self. And even if that authentic part of yourself is negative, all of us have some negativity in us.
Right.
We have to let it out, because if we suppress it, it's just going to build up and build up and build up. And once it builds up too much,
Yeah.
it's going to burst. It's going to all then just come out. So we have to be authentic and speak. You know, we have issues with people. We got to speak.
Right. That's true.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Remember to like, comment, subscribe. And this week, I'm going to be doing a little bit of traveling. Kayla is obviously here in Arizona, as we are doing this video from the studio, which we have not been in quite some time.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah.
It's been more him traveling out to Wisconsin
Yeah.
or here, but that's another story.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, it is what it is.
So stay tuned. We're going to have a lot more content that's coming up, some different content. So stay tuned for that. But until next time, my name's Derek.
My name is Kayla.
And we are the berries.
Hi, guys.
Take care.